two of the championship favourites going into the Superstock 600 2021 championship. It's Zak Corderoy and George Stanley. How are we, guys?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, not bad, thanks. All good here.
All good. Awesome to see you both on the show. Of course, both you guys, you know each other quite well, but you're also both looking pretty strong on circuit as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a good couple of tests so far. Just the one off so far, but yeah, feeling good. Can't wait to get back out at Donington in a couple of weeks and get some more testing in. Really enjoying the new bike. Really competitive package this year. Binch done a really good job with that, and really looking forward to it.
Of course, you guys know each other quite close off the track as well, don't you?
Yeah, doing some training together over the winter. Well, less over the winter, more obviously in the last couple of weeks when we can actually meet up and do stuff, and then obviously doing some Zwift racing and stuff like that. But me and Zak have known each other like all the way back to super teens when we were like 12, 13 years old. So, you know, well, still getting on all right for now. So
yeah, until the racing starts.
Yeah. It all changes when you get on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for those who don't know, obviously, George racing for the Ready for Racing team run by Junior on the Kawasaki 636, and Zak, yourself, you're going to be riding the Yamaha with Binch Racing. Change of manufacturer as well for you this year. Do you two see each other as sort of championship rivals?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you obviously go into the season with a handful of names that you know are going to be up there, and he's definitely on the list.
Yeah, obviously, especially with Zak being so strong at the first test. I mean, I knew Zak was going to be quick anyway, and obviously when he's done a lot of it himself, obviously being able to go with the team, I knew he was going to be even stronger than he was previously. So it makes for a good championship, and there'll definitely be some good people. But I'd say Zak's definitely number one on my list for championship challenge.
So obviously, I mean, you guys training together as well. That's not, I mean, I wouldn't say that's usual to see for two people that are most likely going to be going for the championship. Do you guys get competitive when you're training together as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't avoid that. Yeah, we're doing these Zwift races throughout the winter. Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah, it's good though, because it keeps you pushing. I think it's good to have some healthy rivalries, as well as obviously you can also not like some of your rivals, but you know it at the end of the day it's racing, and we know what happens on track. Like if it comes down to last lap, it's
yeah, win or bin it.
part, but I think it's definitely good to have someone to push you off track as well as on track.
Yeah, it's good to see. And it's good to see that sort of that healthy relationship, even though you guys are vying for it on track. You can push each other off track as well. You've also had a good chance to race against each other last season as well. You had some good battles last year.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really good year, competitive all the way through the class, to be honest. There's probably a good 10 riders that could have gone out there and battled for the win. But yeah, it's the same again this year, to be honest. There's a lot of riders that showed a lot of promise last year, and no doubt going to carry it on this year.
A little bit different for you, Zak, this year, moving from, because obviously last year you ran on the Kawasaki, and this year moving over to the Yamaha. A little bit different. Yeah,
I mean, first impressions of the bike. I mean, it's a great bike to ride. Very user friendly. Bit different to the Kawasaki in the way that it delivers power and whatnot, but overall it's a spot on bike. I can't complain, to be honest. And like I said, the Binch boys have kind of gave me a proper good bike for this year. No excuses really.
For sure. I mean, last year you was running the ZX6, and then for the last round you ran the 636. Obviously the ZX6 wasn't quite the bike of choice, but I mean you showed that it was competitive. Now on the R6, what made you make that decision? Because you had to go on, you got to have a go on the 636 at the end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, the old 600 that I was running all year just didn't quite have the guts on the 636s. It definitely handled a lot better. Jumping on 636 at the last round, we went up and down with suspension here, there, and everywhere. Just couldn't quite get it to click really. But from what I've heard, it was a bit of a gamble this year jumping on a bike that I've never rode before. But yeah, we took the gamble from what we've heard about the bike, and and I've really impressed so far.
What was the transition like? Was it an easy transition going into it, or did you have to change quite a few things?
Not really, not at all, to be honest. It was just, like I said, user friendly, so you could just jump on it and kind of just enjoy it really. That's just loved it to be honest.
And I mean, you've been looking really strong on the Yamaha and the testing, and we've already covered that. But George, I mean, you've had a good test also at Alton Park. You were top 3 pretty much the whole test. Do you think you've got what it takes to beat him on the Kawasaki on the 636?
Yeah, definitely. I think, definitely, 100%. I think we've made like some changes over the winter to the bike, and it does feel a lot better. And as well as obviously last year, it was kind of a shorter year. I started off on the MV Agusta, that didn't go to plan, so we had to switch to the Kawasaki, and then it was like we didn't know any of the settings. Like it was a complete blank canvas, and that was obviously. I'd never worked with a team before, and we were all new to each other, and we had to like work it out as quick as we could. And by the last round, we were at the front. Well, to be fair, a couple of rounds I showed pace, but then at the last round, definitely we were battling at the front. So with the improvements we've made for this year, I definitely think that I have a chance for the championship. And I definitely think I don't think anyone will be running away with the races, but I think it'll be a close championship this year.
I mean, it's quite a decision to move bike manufacturer halfway through the season. What was the main? Did you think that the MV had what it takes to win races, or what was the sort of main reason for the move?
Yeah, no, I think the MV was like a great bike. Like I would have loved to actually do the season on it. It handled like awesome. Like it's definitely out of the bikes that I've ridden, I'd probably say it's the best handling bike I've ever ridden. But it was just that the reliability was just it nothing but spill oil everywhere and blow up. So I didn't actually get a chance to ride it. So that's the main reason we had to switch, is because I mean it was costing the team quite a lot of money to keep on rebuilding it, and then you get nothing for it. So and it was like massively down on power. I was always like last in the speed traps, but. That's the main reasons why we actually had to switch.
And I mean, Zak, you switched not manufacturer, but you switched bike right at the end last year, as we touched on before. When you did that, you were very, very close to the championship, and you possibly could have won it if everything went right on that last round. Do you think perhaps moving to the 636? I think if you stayed on the ZX6 for that final round, the bike that you were familiar with, that things could have gone a different way.
Yeah, that was quite a big gamble for me. To be fair, the championship was a bit too far away to get. Ben was a good fair few points ahead by that time. We took a gamble. Leon gave me the opportunity to ride his bike that weekend. We took it. Didn't pay off. We dropped from second in the championship to third. But that year, all I wanted to do was go out and win the championship. Second and third, to me, didn't really matter that much. And the fact that it was far too gone, we took the gamble and didn't pay off. So,
but you didn't think that staying on the 636 was what you wanted to do for this year? Then what was it? Did you get on with the 636, or was it just you preferred the Yamaha, or the idea of the Yamaha?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 636 had its issues. A lot of chattering problems on the front end for me, and what I've heard from other people, it wasn't too user friendly. So we jumped ships and we gave the Yamaha a go.
Obviously, I mean, George, you're riding that bike. A lot of the field is. I am as well. what would you say are sort of what puts your confidence in the bike?
Well, I don't think it's too bad. I think it's obviously it's different to the old 600 in the handling wise, just because of the design of the bike. It's not built for racing. But no, I think it's sharp off the turns. It steers well. I think once you get it in the working window, I think it's a great bike. Like it's shown. It's won the championship. Obviously last year with Ben just. He smoked everyone pretty much. He won most of the races of the year, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the bike.
No.
Definitely, like Zak said before, like obviously the speed's good with the 636, and it does handle well, and especially like with the changes we've made this year, it handles even better than before. So really happy with it.
Yeah, like you say, it's a proven bike. It's won the championship. It was very close to winning the championship the year before as well. Zak, moving a little bit more to sort of your career, not quite before Stock 6, but sort of before last year. I mean, I think it's safe to say you had it a little bit rough up until before last year. You missed a few rounds. I mean, you'd won the two Aprilia championships, then came over into Stock 6. It was a little bit of a roller coaster, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, was it the start of 2018? We did start doing the Stock 6 class. And we had a couple of big crashes, wrote the bike off twice by third round. That kind of had to call it quits from there, really. We just couldn't afford to do the rest of the season. Things become, just very expensive.
Yeah.
And just a few problems at home and stuff like that. The family just meant we had to kind of what I thought was going to be the end of my racing career, to be honest. I thought that was it. We stopped riding for a year and a half. We dabbled at the end of 2019. We thought we'd do a few club rounds, see how we get on. Trained really hard, and then come back fighting fit at the start of last year, and kind of done a fair bit better than we expected, really, and here we are, really. Yeah.
And now you're going into a season, and you're a very, very strong championship favourite.
Yeah, I mean, yes, very unexpected turn over these last few years, and I can't thank my family enough, really, and the sponsors that I've got on board. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I just wouldn't be here doing what I love doing.
No, this was awesome to see, awesome to hear. We've established that you two are going to be up the front end. Anyone else that you guys is going to see as a threat to the championship this year?
Yeah, I think definitely Joe Talbot, because he's so young and he's out quite a lot, and he does the business at no limits, and also he is fast. Like, he showed that he was fast in his first year of Stock 600 last year. And like, I've ridden with him, and you can see when somebody can ride, and like, he can definitely ride. I think that's definitely him. I think he's probably the biggest one, and James Alderson as well. When Alderson, like when he's riding well, he is very quick as well.
Yeah, showed a lot of potential at the Alton Park test. I mean, no doubt Liam Dales will be up there. And a few others definitely.
Thing with the Stock 6 class as well, there's always surprises, and there's always sort of names that you didn't quite expect to be there as well. That, I mean, once the season starts, it could be completely different to what everyone predicted.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just depends how hard you train over pre-season, to be honest. Things can change quite drastically over the winter, and people, they just come back fighting stronger.
I think sometimes as well, it depends on the situation of the person, as on like money wise and stuff. A lot of the time, like if you're testing, might literally just be getting bike time for people, because if they crash, it could be over before it's even started. So like you said, like somebody could literally just be sandbagging massively because they just are riding, and then once they get to the race meeting, that's when they really get their race head on, and obviously crashing goes out the window, and it's just what they can do to win then.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, you see. I'm just 5 seconds off the pace. It's just as soon as I put them fresh tyres in, I'll be up with you guys.
I've got a bit of a question for all three of you, really, because you're all in the same championship. Obviously, this season, you guys haven't had the chance to go over to Spain. All the testing has been over here in England, and the weather hasn't been really that great either. Snetterton was a bit of a washout. Have you guys preferred testing over in England here, or would you rather be back in Spain testing at the moment?
No, definitely.
You'd rather be a Cartagena, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, soaking up the sunshine, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I just feel like I'm slightly behind, because it just feels like all the things that I would have done in Spain, I'm doing an official test, and it just doesn't feel right to me. I mean, maybe it might be different for you, George, because you had like a year on the bike last year and with the team last year, so you've already you're just carrying the same bike over into the next year. But I sort of feel like sort of being held back a little bit, because I would have done those things in Spain before. But then at the same time, everyone's in the same boat, because no one really managed to get out there.
I think it's good I much prefer riding with other fast people than I do riding on track days a lot of the time, just because track days you might get 1 or 2 clear laps a session. So at least on a test, like, everyone there is competitive, and also you can see other people, and I do think it brings you on in that aspect. But then, like you said, another thing is that it's 3 degrees and raining, so you're not doing any riding. So that's the only thing. But I probably prefer being out there with other people the same speed as me. I just feel like it brings you on a lot more and makes you actually push harder and find out what you need to get out of bike.
I could imagine it's been really annoying for people this season, like you guys who have got to learn a new bike, and obviously in Spain you'd just be out there doing constant laps, and this year you've been, like I said, Snetterton, I think Max did about 12 laps over the 2 days, and yeah, it's just no fun sitting in the pits all day, is it?
No, exactly. And the only thing that's different to Spain and here is the tracks. Tracks over there are just so much grippier. Beyond, much better than the ones over here. But
hopefully Donington will be nice and warm, and we can. Everyone will get some good time on the bike.
Yeah, for sure. It is good, to be fair, testing on the tracks you're going to be racing on. We would rather we go to Spain for a reason, so we would rather be over there. But at the same time, there are some positives to it.
Talking about the championship coming up, obviously with Stock 600s, you only get 1 race a weekend, and from previous championship winners, it's been very important to have a consistent season. Do you guys go into a race and, I don't know, maybe there's a second and a half to the leader and you're gradually catching them up? Do you guys settle for that second and think of the championship, or do you guys put your head into it and you're going out there to win race, whatever the outcome?
I think I don't think you should be thinking about the championship, and that's the way you're riding. Like, if you think, you just start riding tight. So I think the best thing to do, I think what a lot of people do, is they just go out and race by race, just try and win it as much as they can, and then see what happens at the end of the season. Because then at the same time, you could settle for a second, and you could still fall off because you've lost your concentration, and you thought, well, I've just pushed and tried to win it rather than crash it settling. And plus, no one cares about second, like that. They obviously don't, and people do notice when you push for a win and crash, and they definitely notice when you settle for a second place. And I think Stock 600 and the lower classes definitely aren't classes that you need to be settling for a second. I think that's for the more important classes like the superbikes and even Stock 1000, where there's a lot on the line. Whereas Stock 600, it's more about getting your name out there and personal pride, whereas the bigger classes have manufacturers and sometimes wages, like, riding on them.
Yeah, great answer.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to go prove yourself every race, and that's it, really. Yeah.
And I think it's something Jonathan Ray said once, is that the best way that he found to win a championship was just to keep winning.
Well, that's he definitely.
if you can do that, if you can pull it off.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure. Let's say you guys, you're looking strong. So let's say you guys finish top 3 this year, somewhere in the top 3, and then, because then it's once you finish in top 3, you have to move on or move up. What would be next for you? I'll start with you, Zach.
I don't even know yet. I'm just taking a year as it goes. Ideally, I'd like to move up to Supersport. For me, that would be the ideal move, but it just depends what we can afford to do.
Sure, for sure. And George?
Yeah, I don't really mind which class. Obviously, I've done Stock 1000 before, and I wasn't I could get top 10 results, and a few of the races I had the pace to be higher than that if I hadn't qualified bad. And I think if I went back there with what I'd learned and with my head in the right place, then I think I could definitely do a lot better. What
made you come back to Stock 6?
Just money. It was the same. Well, it's a slightly different situation to Zak, but me and my dad were paying for everything ourselves, apart from Hawk. They gave us the bike and we paid for the rest. So obviously, like that, without them, I wouldn't have been racing at all. But it was costing us like so much money, and it was literally I was finished. I couldn't do any more racing basically, and then R4R gave me like a deal that I couldn't turn down, and obviously I had to come to Stock 600. But I think it's definitely good to hopefully win some races this year and then progress back to Stock 1000 with some more confidence.
What was the transition like moving back? Because obviously you'd done it before.
Yeah, no, I think it was made harder by the way the season was, and also just like I said, the team were trying to sort a bike out in like so little time, so it was hard to get used to it. But obviously it's different to 1000. Like 1000, you constantly wrestle in it. It just wants to wheel its head off. It's just like they are animals, to be fair. And then Stock 600 definitely felt a lot.
It must have felt like it was broken.
Yeah. Time I rode it, I expected to I kind of when I was riding Stock 1000, I was thinking, I'd love to have a go on a 600 now and feel what it's like. And then when I got back on the 600, I was like, wow, I didn't realise. I took for granted how fun 1000 is, like all over the place.
No, but it's good to see that there's an option as well for you to come back and drop into Stock 600, and because obviously money's a big thing in racing, especially at the moment. So it's good that that there's that option that if you want to keep racing, you can come and take a couple of years in a lower class and then use that experience to then move up and go back into what you were doing before.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate. To be fair, it was Stuart Higgs that kind of gave me dispensation for that, because you weren't really meant to do it. But I think he kind of understood the situation I was in and gave me the chance to actually be able to do it, which I am grateful for, because otherwise that would have been it in 2019. I'd have been finished and nothing more I could do.
But now both of you looking strong for this season, and that's brilliant to see. So thank you both for coming on. It was brilliant to have you both on here, and brilliant to give it a little bit of light to Stock 6, because we've been ignoring it a little bit for a couple of reasons. But it's good to have you both on. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.